Welcome back. Let's start the fourth and final part of the episode. Don't forget to like this video and hit that subscribe button and join our YouTube family. Let's start. The rise of the Shadow Queen. The courtroom had already endured shock after shock. Secrets had surfaced. Lies had unraveled. Identities had collapsed under the weight of truth. And yet, what came next made everything before it feel incomplete. Meri rose slowly from her chair. Not with panic. Not with anger, but with a strange, quiet certainty. For the first time since the trial began, all eyes turned to her not as a victim, but as someone who knew something. "I believe," she said, her voice steady but low, "that we've been listening to the wrong person." The room stilled. Judge Harmon narrowed her gaze. "What do you mean?" Meri didn't look at her. Her eyes were fixed on the screen, the memory of the villa video still lingering in everyone's minds. "The voice," she said. "The woman in that video." Christine frowned. "What about her?" Meri inhaled slowly. "It's not Robyn." A pause. "It's not Lena." Another pause, heavier this time. "It's someone else." The tension snapped tight. "A new player," Meri continued. "Someone we've never accounted for." Her voice dropped into something colder. "A shadow behind everything." The judge leaned forward. "Name." Meri shook her head slightly. "I don't know her name," she said. "But I know what she is. A beat. She's the one who finishes what Kody started." That afternoon, Lena was brought back into the courthouse under heavy federal protection. Her appearance had changed. She looked thinner, tired, weathered by years of running. But her eyes were sharper than ever, as if she had been waiting for this moment. When Meri's claim was presented, Lena didn't dismiss it. She froze, then slowly nodded. "That voice," she whispered. Christine stepped forward. "You recognize it?" Lena's jaw tightened. "I've heard it before." The courtroom leaned in. "Years ago," she said, "when I was still working in the house." Cole stepped closer. "Who is she?" Lena hesitated. "She said she was a spiritual coach." The words felt small compared to the weight they carried. "Robyn invited her," Lena added. Christine stiffened instantly. "What was her name?" the judge demanded. Lena's lips parted. "Alara." The name echoed. But it didn't stop there. Lena swallowed. "That's what she told me." A pause. "But Kody never called her that." The room tightened again. "What did he call her?" Cole asked. Lena looked up, her voice barely above a whisper. The first spark. Everything shifted. Instantly, Cole turned toward the federal screen, already pulling encrypted files. "That name appears in recovered data," he said quickly. "Multiple times." The judge's pen stopped mid-motion. "In what context?" Cole's expression hardened. "Not financial. Not legal." A pause. "Operational." The word landed hard. "Designation. Failsafe." The implications spread like fire. Christine stepped back slightly. "What does that mean?" Cole didn't soften it. "It means if everything else fails, a beat. She takes over." Before anyone could respond, Aurora's secured device vibrated. Sharp. Sudden. Unmistakable. All eyes turned. She hesitated, then looked at the screen. Unknown number. One message. She read it out loud, her voice trembling. "He taught me everything." A pause. "Now I will finish the garden." Lena gasped. "It's her." The courtroom erupted into motion. Cole turned immediately to the federal agents. "We need full authorization for Rotan," he said. "No more remote surveillance." His voice sharpened. "We go in." The judge didn't hesitate. "Approved." Then louder, total communications lockdown. She looked around the room. "If she's taken control of the narrative, we cut the signal." But it was already too late. Within 2 hours, the internet ignited. A new figure appeared. White clothing. Face obscured. Voice distorted, but controlled. Her videos spread like wildfire. Short clips. Measured words. Weaponized calm. "They tried to bury the patriarch," she said in one broadcast. "But truth grows beneath soil." Clips followed, edited fragments of past testimonies. Christine's words twisted. Janelle's voice reframed. Meri's silence turned into implication. The garden was poisoned, the voice continued. And now, a pause. We purify it. What had been a trial was now a war. Not of evidence, but of narrative. Cole pulled Christine and Janelle aside. There's more, he said quietly. He handed them a photograph. Old, grainy, recovered from the lockbox files. Christine's hands trembled as she looked. It was Alara, standing beside Robyn, holding an infant. The baby's face blurred. Kody stood behind them, watching, not smiling, not emotional, just observing. Janelle whispered, "No." Cole's voice was firm. "We believe she had his child." Christine looked up, shaken. "That means she's not a follower," Cole finished. "She's part of the bloodline." Back in the courtroom, the judge resumed with renewed force. Effective immediately, she declared, "We are expanding this case internationally." Her voice echoed with authority. "All offshore accounts, all religious fronts, all financial networks tied to this structure will be opened." A pause. "This is no longer a family case." Another pause. "This is an organized system." Meanwhile, Meri sat alone, silent, her envelope still in her hands. The words inside echoing in her mind. "You were the last one standing, but standing for what?" She looked up. Something inside her shifted. If Kody had built a war of stories, then she would answer. That night, Meri opened her laptop and began to write. No filters, no defense, just truth. "If he wants a war of narratives," she typed, "then I will finally tell mine." Christine followed. A video. No edits. No makeup. Just raw emotion. "He didn't break me," she said through tears. "He showed me I was never standing beside him." A pause. "I was standing beneath him." Janelle went live. Direct. Unfiltered. "This ends now," she said. For every woman who believed silence meant peace, her voice sharpened. It didn't. And slowly, the world began to listen again. But just as momentum shifted, the final twist arrived. At exactly 3 a.m., a new video surfaced. Not from Kody. Not from Alara. A surveillance feed. Timestamped. Live. The Rotan Villa. The door creaked open. A figure stepped inside. Tall. Thin. Dressed in white. Face hidden. The camera flickered. Then stabilized. The figure stepped closer. 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 And just before the feed cut, she leaned toward the lens. And mouthed one sentence. "Session 13 belongs to me." The spark awakens. The courtroom had already seen chaos, but what followed turned tension into something far more dangerous, something ideological, something alive. When Lena was brought in under protective escort, the energy shifted immediately. She didn't look like someone broken by fear. She looked like someone who had been waiting for this exact moment. Pale, yes, but her eyes held recognition, memory, and something close to dread. When she spoke, her voice cut through the silence. That voice. I've heard it before. Every head turned toward her. Christine leaned forward, gripping the edge of the bench. Where? Lena swallowed once, steadying herself. Years ago. She came to the house. Said she was a spiritual coach. The room stiffened. Who invited her? Janelle asked sharply. Lena didn't hesitate. Robyn. The name landed like a dropped blade. Christine's posture went rigid. What was her name? Lena paused, not because she didn't know, but because she understood what saying it would mean. Alara. The courtroom seemed to inhale all at once. But then came the second blow. Kody didn't call her that, Lena added. He called her the first spark. Even the judge stopped writing. That phrase, first spark, was already embedded in the evidence files. Cole confirmed it immediately. Not financial. Not legal. But flagged repeatedly as something else entirely. A failsafe, Cole said quietly. A backup identity in the network. And, just like that, the case shifted again. This wasn't just about money laundering or hidden relationships anymore. This was structure. Strategy. Design. Far away from the courtroom, in a secure bunker, Aurora's burner phone buzzed. One message. Unknown sender. No traceable origin. Just a sentence. He taught me everything. Now I will finish the garden. Aurora froze. Because she knew exactly who it was. Back in court, the DOJ moved fast. Search orders were issued. Surveillance was escalated. Communication lockdown protocols were initiated. But it was already too late. Within hours, the phrase "first spark" was trending worldwide. Videos began appearing online. A woman dressed entirely in white. Face concealed. Voice altered just enough to be untraceable, but not enough to hide intent. She spoke in fragments. Scripture twisted into doctrine. Old footage of Kody manipulated and repackaged. Clips of Meri, Christine, and Janelle edited into something unrecognizable. The message was clear. Not defense. Not denial. Replacement. The garden was corrupted, the voice said in one viral clip. The foundation weakened. The wives turned against the root. Now we purify. The internet exploded. What had been a courtroom case was now a global narrative war. Inside, the women were no longer just witnesses. They were symbols. And symbols were dangerous. Cole pulled Christine and Janelle aside, his expression tight. "There's more," he said. He handed them a photograph recovered from the final envelope. Grainy. Old. But unmistakable. Robyn, standing beside a woman no one had ever seen before. Alara. And in her arms, a child. Kody stood in the background, silent, distant, watching. No smile. No warmth. Just observation. Christine's breath caught. Janelle whispered, "That's not just a follower." Cole nodded grimly. "We believe she had his child." Silence. Because that meant something far bigger. Not influence. Not loyalty. Legacy. The judge resumed proceedings, but the tone had shifted entirely. This was no longer about uncovering past actions. This was about stopping something still in motion. Orders were issued rapidly, international warrants, financial seizures, investigation expansions. "This organization is active," the judge stated, "and someone is still controlling it." Meanwhile, the women made their own moves. Meri retreated into isolation, but not silence. She opened her laptop and began writing. Not for the court. Not for the press. For the truth. Raw. Unfiltered. "If this is a war of stories," she whispered to herself, "then I will finally tell mine." Christine followed differently. She posted a video. No edits. No preparation. Just her. Tears visible. Voice steady. "He didn't break me," she said. "He just made me realize I was never beside him, only beneath him." Janelle went live. "This ends now," she declared. "For every woman who thought peace required silence, we were wrong." And for the first time in a long time, the world listened. But truth has a way of attracting something darker. At exactly 3 a.m., another video surfaced. This one wasn't polished. It wasn't propaganda. It was raw surveillance footage. A security camera inside the Roten villa. Timestamp, live. The door creaked open. A figure entered. Tall. Thin. Dressed in white. Face hidden behind a mask. The camera flickered, glitched, but not before the figure leaned forward and mouthed a single sentence directly into the lens. "Session 13 belongs to me now." And then, black. By morning, everything changed again. At 6:41 a.m., a woman appeared at the courthouse. No warning. No record. No identity in any file. She carried only 3 things: a birth certificate, a DNA report, and an old photograph. When her documents reached the judge, proceedings halted instantly. "Bring her forward." The woman stepped slowly into view. Calm. Controlled. As if she had rehearsed this moment her entire life. "State your name," the judge said. She looked directly ahead. Savannah Eliza Brown. The courtroom erupted. Christine's breath hitched. Janelle stood without realizing it. "Savannah," she whispered. "No, not my Savannah." The woman shook her head. "I'm not the one you raised," she said quietly. "I'm the one you never knew existed." And just like that, the past didn't just resurface. It multiplied. The hidden bloodline, the name still echoed through the courtroom long after it was spoken. Savannah Eliza Brown. It didn't just land, it fractured something. Christine remained frozen, her eyes locked on the young woman standing before them. Janelle slowly lowered herself back into her seat, as if her body could no longer support the weight of what she was hearing. "Explain," the judge said, voice firm but quieter, now controlled. Savannah nodded once, as though she had expected nothing less. "You already have the truth," she said calmly. "You just don't know where to look." Cole was already moving, scanning her documents, cross-referencing data in real time. His expression shifted almost immediately. "It matches," he said under his breath. "DNA alignment is consistent." A murmur spread across the room. Savannah reached into her satchel again and pulled out a photograph, old, slightly worn at the edges. She placed it carefully on the desk. Kody, younger, almost unrecognizable in his softness. And beside him, a woman no one in the courtroom knew. Dark hair, steady eyes, a quiet intensity. "My mother," Savannah said. "Naomi." The room fell silent again. "She died in 2010, Savannah continued. Ovarian cancer. He never came to see us. Never paid support. Never acknowledged me publicly." Christine closed her eyes briefly. Janelle clenched her jaw. "But he left something," Savannah added. She slid forward a sealed envelope. "For you," she said, looking directly at Christine and Janelle. "My mother said if I ever came forward, this had to be delivered." The judge opened it first. Protocol demanded it. She read only a few lines before her expression changed. Without a word, she passed it to Christine. Christine's hands trembled as she unfolded the letter. Her voice broke as she read aloud. "If you're reading this, it means my time has ended and Kody has won again." The courtroom held its breath. "You don't know me." He made sure of that. "But we were married, spiritually, in 2002. Outside the church. Hidden." Christine looked up stunned. Savannah met her gaze and nodded. "He said the family couldn't know," Christine continued reading, voice shaking. "That it would destroy everything." Janelle whispered, "He was building something even then." Savannah stepped forward slightly. "I've watched all of you my entire life," she said. "From a distance. My mother trusted you, especially you, Christine." Christine's composure cracked. She said if the truth ever came out, Savannah continued, it would be because everything had already collapsed. She took a breath. "That day is now." Cole didn't waste time. "What else do you have?" he asked. Savannah pulled out a small flash drive. "This is my mother's diary," she said. Every interaction. Every agreement. Every fear she had about him, especially about something he called the reclamation protocol. The phrase hit the room like a shockwave. The judge leaned forward. "Define it." Savannah hesitated, not from uncertainty, but from the weight of it. "It wasn't legal," she said quietly. "It wasn't financial." She looked up. It was control. Cole inserted the drive into his system, scanning rapidly. Lines of text filled the screen, dates stretching back decades. "This is real," he confirmed. "Metadata checks out. This goes back over 20 years. The missing decade. The period before the public narrative. Before the cameras. Before the carefully constructed image." Savannah continued. "If any wife or child strayed," she said, her voice tightening, "the reclamation protocol was activated." Janelle leaned forward. "What does that mean?" Savannah didn't look away. "Psychological pressure. Financial restriction. Isolation. Relationship manipulation." She paused. "And if that didn't work, no one spoke." "Spiritual punishment." Christine stood abruptly. "He created a doctrine for obedience," she said. "Wrapped in faith." Savannah nodded. "He called it tending the garden," she said. "But if a vine grew in the wrong direction, it had to be cut." The metaphor landed with brutal clarity. This wasn't chaos. This was design. Cole opened another file. "There's more," he said. He projected a meeting log onto the screen. Dated 2013. Participants listed: Naomi, Alara, Kody, and 2 unnamed women. One line was highlighted. "The first spark must be planted when the wives turn against one another." Christine's eyes widened. Janelle whispered, "This was planned." Cole continued reading. "When the conflict begins, she will carry the message not of submission, but of replacement." The room shifted again. Lena's earlier words echoed back. "First spark." This wasn't loyalty. This was succession. Savannah stepped back slightly, letting the weight of it settle. She wasn't helping him, she said. She was preparing to replace him. The judge leaned back slowly. So this isn't a collapsing family, she said. Cole finished the thought. It's a transition of power. Outside, the world was already reacting. Protests had begun forming, some in support of the women, others, disturbingly, in support of the garden. Inside the courtroom, security tightened, because the wives were no longer just part of the story. They were targets within it. Then came another revelation. Savannah spoke again, quieter this time. There's one more thing. Cole looked up. I found a voicemail, she said. The last one he ever left my mother. The audio file played. Static filled the room before Kody's voice emerged. Tired. Cold. Detached. Naomi. I can't continue this. Christine covered her mouth. I tried to make you part of the narrative, but they won't accept you. Janelle's eyes filled with anger. Christine is asking questions. Janelle is resisting. Meri is falling apart. A pause. Then Robyn will always be loyal. Silence. Savannah's hands tightened at her sides. But you remind me of who I used to be. Another pause. And I can't look at that anymore. The final words were barely audible. Just disappear. The audio ended. No one moved. The judge finally spoke. Where have you been all these years? Savannah answered without hesitation. Waiting. She took a breath. My mother told me this would all fall apart one day, she said. And when it did, I would be the only one left who remembered everything clearly. She looked around the courtroom. You were his wives, she said softly. But she, her voice steadied, was his mirror. Cole leaned forward, his voice low but urgent. This changes everything. And he was right. Because this wasn't just about secrets anymore. It was about origin. And whatever had started all of this was far from finished. She paused. And if that didn't work, no one spoke. Spiritual punishment. Christine stood abruptly. He created a doctrine for obedience, she said. Wrapped in faith. Savannah nodded. He called it tending the garden, she said. But if a vine grew in the wrong direction, it had to be cut. The metaphor landed with brutal clarity. This wasn't chaos. This was design. Cole opened another file. There's more, he said. He projected a meeting log onto the screen. Dated 2013. Participants listed, Naomi, Alara, Kody, and 2 unnamed women. One line was highlighted. The first spark must be planted when the wives turn against one another. Christine's eyes widened. Janelle whispered, this was planned. Cole continued reading. When the conflict begins, she will carry the message not of submission, but of replacement. The room shifted again. Lena's earlier words echoed back. First spark. This wasn't loyalty. This was succession. Savannah stepped back slightly, letting the weight of it settle. She wasn't helping him, she said. She was preparing to replace him. The judge leaned back slowly. So this isn't a collapsing family, she said. Cole finished the thought. It's a transition of power. Outside, the world was already reacting. Protests had begun forming, some in support of the women, others, disturbingly, in support of the garden. Inside the courtroom, security tightened, because the wives were no longer just part of the story. They were targets within it. Then came another revelation. Savannah spoke again, quieter this time. There's one more thing. Cole looked up. I found a voicemail, she said. The last one he ever left my mother. The audio file played. Static filled the room before Kody's voice emerged. Tired. Cold. Detached. Naomi. I can't continue this. Christine covered her mouth. I tried to make you part of the narrative, but they won't accept you. Janelle's eyes filled with anger. Christine is asking questions. Janelle is resisting. Meri is falling apart. A pause. Then Robyn will always be loyal. Silence. Savannah's hands tightened at her sides. But you remind me of who I used to be. Another pause. And I can't look at that anymore. The final words were barely audible. Just disappear. The audio ended. No one moved. The judge finally spoke. Where have you been all these years? Savannah answered without hesitation. Waiting. She took a breath. My mother told me this would all fall apart one day, she said. And when it did, I would be the only one left who remembered everything clearly. She looked around the courtroom. You were his wives, she said softly. But she, her voice steadied, was his mirror. Cole leaned forward, his voice low but urgent. This changes everything. And he was right. Because this wasn't just about secrets anymore. It was about origin. And whatever had started all of this was far from finished. Every hidden structure, all of it, now pointed to him. Christine sank into her chair. Janelle stared blankly. Meri didn't move at all. Savannah laughed softly through tears. Then maybe it ends, she whispered. But Logan shook his head. No, he said calmly. It doesn't. The judge frowned. Explain. Logan lifted a small drive. There's one more file, he said. And it's not his. He placed it on the desk. The real architect. The screen lit up. One name appeared. Elara Grace Matters, and beneath it, Mother of the Garden. The room went cold. Cole opened the file. What appeared wasn't just data. It was a blueprint. Diagrams. Manifestos. Audio logs. A doctrine titled Vine Theology. Cole read one line aloud. A man believes he leads, but he only tends what a woman roots. Christine shook her head slowly. This wasn't his creation, Janelle whispered. He was never in control. Savannah finished the thought. He was the voice. Before anyone could respond, every device in the courtroom lit up simultaneously. Phones, screens, monitors, a single video file, autoplaying. Elara, older now, but unmistakable. Her eyes burned with clarity. You searched for me, she said calmly. But I was never hiding. The room stood frozen. I was watching, she continued. Growing. Clips began flashing. Kody kneeling. Robyn beside him. Contracts signed in secret. Meetings in shadows. And then Meri, standing in a dim parking lot, shaking Elara's hand. You were always the key, Elara's voice whispered. Meri broke. I didn't know, she sobbed. I didn't know. Christine stepped forward, fury rising. You built this, she said. You manipulated all of us. The video flickered. Elara smiled faintly. Freedom, she said, does not come from silence. The screen went black. The judge stood immediately. All remaining assets are frozen, she declared. International warrants are issued. All organizations connected to this network are to be dismantled immediately. The gavel struck. But even that didn't feel final. Because Logan spoke again. One last thing. He placed a document on the table. The original will. Cole looked stunned. Before everything, Logan said. Before the wives. Before the public image. The judge read it. Her face went pale. It leaves everything, she said slowly to Elara. The room broke apart. Emotion. Anger. Disbelief. Christine shouted, then what was all of this for? Logan met her eyes. To expose it. Janelle stood beside her. We don't take it back, she said firmly. We destroy it. Savannah nodded. Let it die in the light. The final ruling came moments later. This organization, the judge declared, is hereby recognized as a fraudulent religious enterprise. Core members will be prosecuted. All wives are acquitted due to coercive control. Kody Brown remains a fugitive. Elara Grace Matters is now the primary target of international investigation. It should have ended there. It should have. But then one final file appeared. Uploaded just minutes earlier. No source. No trace. Savannah pressed play. A child's voice whispered, she's not running. A pause. She's preparing. The screen flickered. A symbol appeared. A red vine wrapped around a globe. And beneath it, G2. The room fell silent. Because everyone understood what it meant. This wasn't the end. It was evolution. End of final part. Please subscribe the channel. Next episode coming very soon.